Yeah, I'm really good today. Yeah, thank you. And how are you today, Professor?
So I'm good.
Yeah.
Can you ask someone about the weather or about something else you are interested in knowing about that person? Any question?
Uh, yeah. I would love to ask Miss Phương Chi. Yeah. So, what's
Yeah.
the weather like today in your place?
Yeah. As you know, I'm living in Dalat right now, so the weather is now really good, and it's 17 degree outside, and
Oh,
it's a little bit cold because it's nearly Christmas, so the weather is really good. So I hope you can join this with me. Yes. So I will
yes,
ask.
yeah, you bring us to Dalat or you bring Dalat to us, Phương Chi.
Uh, I hope I can bring up you here.
Okay.
Yeah. So I will ask another person, right?
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Okay. So maybe I will ask someone I don't really know. Can I ask Miss Hoài Tâm? Have you prepared anything for your Christmas?
That's
Yeah,
a good question.
I have prepared some small gifts for my friends, and I don't think that we can have a coffee with them because of COVID-19. So I don't know how to send the presents to them. So that's it.
So continue asking someone else.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the questions. Uh. Yeah. I would like to ask Miss Linh, Dương Thị Mỹ Linh, do
Yes,
you
I'm here.
do you have any preparation for Tet holiday? Buy new
Okay.
clothes or something?
Um, I think the answers will be no. Yeah, because I I just want to have quality time with my family, and I don't think that I will go shopping like the old year. So that's all for me. So now I would like to ask another one. How about Mr. Thủy? How are you today?
Yes, as usual. Thank you. Always well. And
So, uh, Mr. Hải Thủy, can you review all the questions asked and all the answer asked?
oh yes, so this morning started with a topic related to the weather, related to the health, and
Yeah.
related to the accommodation. I mean, let's see the place where someone is staying. Yeah, there are three main topics.
How about holidays? How about Christmas? How about set holidays question? We have any questions related to Christmas, related to the set holidays?
Yes, it's about the gifts that they are going to send, to someone that they love, and
Okay,
about the
thank you.
holiday. Yeah.
So I think today is our sixth meeting, right? Is that right?
Yes, this is our
Yes.
last visit.
So that means this is our last meeting for this class.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay,
Yes.
thank you. So What's the topic we going to talk about today? Hòa, please.
Yes, our topic today is about motivation, student motivation,
What
and
else?
classroom management.
Yes. What else?
Um, it's about uh, how to group students in a group work or pair work. Yes, that I remember from our syllabus.
Yes. How about the presentation? What the presentation is about?
Yeah, today my group, presentations group, and our group presents about students' motivation.
Okay. So, can your group have a discussion with the people here? So we have the presentation already. So everyone, have you watched the presentation?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, we did.
Yes. If yes, then raise your hand, please. If yes. So that means all of you watched the presentation. How about you, Ngọc Diễm, Linh Vũ?
Yes, I'm a presenter.
Okay, you are the presenter. So did you watch your friend's presentation?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you. Now the presentation group's going to have a discussion with you. So can you start a discussion?
Yes, we can. Yeah, so let's start the discussion now. So Blackpink, yeah, if it's okay, yeah, we can turn on our camera. Okay, so we have received a bunch of very interesting questions from the viewers. Yes, yeah, and now because we have only 20 minutes, so we cannot cover all of the issue in the issue, yeah, in the topic of motivation of students, and now we will answer your question to clarify more for the yeah, for your any questionable issue that you have raised. So the first question belongs to Mr. Thui. Yeah, he has two questions for us. So the first one is regarding the definition of motivation. Does it seem not to be consensual, given that only one by Gardner has been mentioned? Yeah. So for this one, yeah, as I have mentioned, we don't have much time, so we just raise some definition given by a very, prominent or maybe a very well-known author. Yeah, and of course we have more and more definition of motivation by other researcher. Yeah, for example, I will list some. Sorry. All right. So here in the at the end of our presentation, we have given you a book, yeah, about motivation in online learning. Yeah. So we have Paris and Turner in 1994. They describe the motivation as the engine of learning. Yeah. So like when a car is going to be operated, you need an engine. Yeah. So the motivation is like it helps the student operate their learning process. Yeah, this is the source to develop their learning process. So and other researcher like Ryan and the C in 2000, they say that motivated learners are more likely to undertake challenging activities or they will be actively engage, enjoy, and adopt a deep approach to learning and exhibit enhanced performance, persistence, and creativity. Yeah, so that's one of many definition given by other researcher. Mr. Hui, do you think my answer satisfies your first question? Yeah, do you have any idea about some maybe some famous definition about motivation?
Actually, yes. Actually, it's not my inquiry, but
Yes.
uh, as far as I'm concerned, when we report especially a notion, so it would be better and it would be more scientific to be consensual. That means we synthesize at least two definitions. Oh, and as many scholars they have done, so they give something share in common, between the others rather than only one. Only one is not uh, the right way, yeah, for giving the definitions because we are reporters, we are presenters. Uh, we are not the person who gave the definition. Yes, that's my. Um, it's not. It's not a question. Yeah, it's not that question. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, I got it. Right. So we will be more careful when we present the definition next time. So thank you for your uh, comments. Yeah, because Gardner is a credible author, so we cite him in our presentation. And for the second question, is it two types of motivation, extrinsic and intrinsic? So are they opposing or identical in your thoughts? So in my opinion, I don't think they are opposing or identical. I think they have like the interrelated relationship. Yes. Um, so yeah, it's hard to say whether they are opposing or identical because the definition of motivation, they are different. Yeah, and they are developed by different authors each year. So to clarify more about this one, maybe some of my group mates will help me for this one. So excuse me,
Yeah.
Miss Linbo, yeah, can
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
answer more for the second question?
Yeah, regarding Mr. third question, I would like to say that it's, as Mr. G had mentioned, it's neither like identical because they are absolutely different. Because oh, you can hear me, right?
Yes.
The first one is like they're not identical, of course. They are different because the source of motivation, one is from outside, one from inside, and so they're different. But they are not opposing either, because when something is different, it doesn't necessarily they are opposing. Like the existence of one thing will not result in the disappearance of the others, and so they coexist and they exist alongside. Maybe, for example, someone can learn English. Just they have one kind of motivation, like extrinsic outside, or maybe some people they just learn because of inside, or some they have both. And so yeah, they are something in between. I can say that they are absolutely different, but I cannot really, like 100% say, well, they are opposing each other or something like that. Yeah, that's my opinion. So if you want to add something, please, Mr. Three, could you share your ideas?
So may I use the Vietnamese here? For pronunciation of opposing and identical, or in Vietnamese we say đối lập or thống nhất. Or say, in English we say it's a dialect. Mối quan hệ biện chứng hay là mối quan hệ tương hỗ reciprocal. Um, in my opinion, I think this is a dialectical relationship. Why? Intrinsic or extrinsic motivation, it lies in every person. Tất cả chúng ta đều có cả ngoại lực, nội lực cả. Always, always. Yeah. Let me give you an example. Maybe I don't like English, but I have to learn it. To take the IELTS, for example, to go studying abroad, and that's the main drive. That's the main motivation. I think it's outside. However, when I am successful with the IELTS, and I started to get some intrinsic motivation in me. Why so? Because success will lead to um, passion. Không chỉ định đam mê. Yes. So I think and then because I had a passion on it, so we continue to learn English. Yes. I don't think they are separate. I quite agree with Mr. Yi when he used the word interrelated. Interrelated, he means reciprocal. Yes, that's my point. Thank you. Am I making myself understood? Sorry.
I'm sorry, but in our presentation, I already used the exact word that you used, that it interrelated. Like in the videos, I put it, and so I do not like put something like they are separate or something like that. And so maybe there is a misunderstanding here.
Yeah. Oh, basically, if we just stop at the interrelated, uh, so they got some connections with each other. But what about the dialectical relationship? Dialectical, that means they have effects in two ways. A have some effects on B, and B have some reverse effects on A. That is dialectical. If we just talk at the interrelationship, we don't mention the effects. They got some relationship and we stop there only. Yeah, so in my opinion, that is dialectical relationship rather than reciprocal relationship.
Thank you for your
Yeah.
opinion.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Yu, can you continue with the next question?
Yes. So I would like to continue with the next question. Yeah. So as I read all of the question here in the Padlet, I think Miss Hua has received some question from our group, right? Sorry, from our classmates, right? So Miss Hua, can you answer and elaborate the question?
Yes, I would like to answer the question from Ms. Dương Mỹ Linh, right? She asked about student motivation for teenager in online class. Yeah, especially in a group work, right? So here I suggest one way for us to let our students share their idea when they working in group. For example, as Ms. Nga do with our class, when we divide our students in group, they can we can we can assign the number for our students, for example, from 1 to 4 or 5. So each number will have a responsibility. So when they work in group, they have to share. For example, one student give questions and one answer, and one to clarify the answer, and the last one will share with the other. And one more thing is that when we ask students discuss in group, the topic is also important. So if the topic is interesting enough for our students to share their voice, for example, when we teach about the music, so we can let them discuss about the K-pop, their idol, for example, Blackpink or BTS, like that. And that's my opinion. And I would love to ask our classmates about your suggestion. The other one, can you ask another suggestion for this question? I would love to ask. Oh, I see Miss Mingo raise her hand. Miss May, please.
Actually, it's the hands from the beginning.
Oh, how about Miss Yuen? Phương Yuen? Have you have any idea?
No, no. I think we can make we can create a Padlet like we are working by working here. So students who are not willing to talk, they can share their idea or can note on the Padlet. Yeah, that's my idea.
Okay, thank you for your suggestions. So we use Padlet. All right. And Miss Diễm, do you want to answer any question from our friend?
Excuse me for my interruption, but we haven't asked Miss Dương Thị Mỹ Linh for.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Miss Mỹ Linh, how do you think about my answer?
Yeah, thank you so much for your suggestion. And I think the teachers can also provide the rules before we separate them into the groups. And while they are working in groups, we can randomly join in any groups to make sure that they are following our rules. Yeah, so that's all. Thank you very much.
Yes, I totally agree with you. Thank you, Miss Diễm. Can you continue with the next questions?
Yes. Okay. I would like to answer Miss Zhang questions from Miss Zhang about motivation in both online and offline learning environment. Oh, I'm so sorry because there's some noise here. Yes, about offline motivation in learning. There's I think I can suggest you some way as a teacher to motivate your class. As a teacher, you can set you can give your example first. For example, when you are in the speaking activities, yes, you can give example or you in practice with some student first, and then you give students some time for their own practice and for presentation later, and then you can help students enhance their L2 related values and attitudes. Yes, you can provide them more materials, yes, or and suggest them a lot of I think kind of materials like books like and also in offline learning environment, you also can provide students with some websites, some I think e-books, yes, you can and which a student can search on the internet for their learning. And also I think you should set you have to I think you have to set the learning goals the objectives of the lesson before the class. I'm sorry, at the beginning of the lesson, yes, you should clearly give student the goal of the lesson, and you can also you have to make the lesson more interesting a lot of ways. You can use apply a lot of I think technology developments like and use some warm up activities, yes, you to make the lesson more interesting. I think it's about offline learning, yes.
Yes, and I want to add to Miss Yim answer. Yeah, and one more. Yeah, the answer for one question from perhaps another friend. Yeah, it's about group work and pair works. Yeah, so now we do what Miss Yim has said, and when we conduct group work and pair work, we should try to educate students about the importance of collaboration and helping each other. You know, because when we conduct pair work and group work, we might be afraid that some students they are hesitated to ask for, especially weak students, to ask for help from the better students, and some good students they like look down on the weak student, and they don't want to help. So yeah, we have to like to encourage the weak student. Yeah, don't be hesitated to ask the better one, and maybe we can give bonus for the both good and the weak student if they collaborate well and they create very good products of the task that we had delivered. And also before doing any task, we should try to divide the, like allocate the work, and we divide the work equally between the students, and we should give clear and concise guidelines. Yeah, I think Dr. Nguyen always remind us about guidelines. Yeah, because if you don't have the guidelines, the student cannot follow the task well. Yeah, so this is what I want to add to Ms. Yim's answer, and answer one question from our friend about group work and pair work in online learning to raise their motivation. Thank you. Okay, so Ms. Yim, Ms. Hoa, and Ms. Lin, perhaps if you don't have answer for all the questions, I would like to refer. Yeah. So sorry, Ms. Thuy, can I answer the question of Ms. Phương Chi before I answer your question? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Ms. Phương Chi has a question about how do we measure the student motivation. So I believe motivation is a very abstract term. Yeah, we cannot really measure them. Yeah, to put them in any rating scale, or sorry, not rating scale, like in any unit of measurement, or how many percent like that. But if we want, actually, if we want to measure or we want to assess the level of motivation, I have a book here, Ms. Phương Chi. If you would like, I could send the book to you. It's the book title is Assessing. Sorry. Yeah, a classroom assessment principle and practice that enhance student learning and motivation. So in chapter 12, it's a book by Macmillan. So Macmillan suggests us that we can use some way like when we do the research. Yeah, first one is teacher observation. It could be it could be either unstructured or structured observation. Next one is interviews. So we can conduct individual or group interviews, and when we interview, we can have some questions regarding regarding their motivation. And if you don't want to use interview, you can have student self-reports. Yeah, what I mean by self-report, so they report about how much they feel satisfied with their learning. You can use questionnaires like constructed responsive, or you can use rating scale responsive, or the student themselves can construct their self-report items. Yeah, but I think it is a little bit difficult. So maybe the intermediate or advanced learner can do this. And last but not least, we have student self-assessment. Yeah, like they have self-monitoring or metacognition, and you can try to guide them some strategies for learning, so that they can have like their motivation enhanced in learning. So Ms. Chi, do you think my answer fulfill your question?
Yeah, thank you very, very much for your very specific and informative answer.
Yeah, so thank you. So I will share the book to our in the chat box, so we can get that book. Yeah. Thank you.
Many thanks.
Right. So everyone, Ms. Thuy has another question. What do you think? So sorry, Ms. Hoa, Ms. Lin, and Ms. Yim. Do you want to any question before we answer Mr. Thuy question?
Okay, let's go with Mr. Thuy.
Yes. Okay. So we think he asked us that what do you think is more difficult for teacher to help Vietnamese learner of English, cognitive or motivational dimensions? Why? Wow. So as usual, this is a very interesting question.
Yeah. So I would like to answer Mr. Thuy's question. So I believe that cognitive is more difficult, because for motivation, it may be extrinsic or intrinsic. So it can be inside and outside. And outside would mean that the teachers can can do something to have effect on the student motivation, right? Like encouragement, rewarding something. But for cognitive, it's something that it's if you have read the book Introduction into Introducing Second Language Acquisition of Homo, so you can see that cognitive is something that they are born with it, and it's something like inside and more difficult for people to have an impact on that. And so if it can be changed, but it may be more difficult than motivation. That's my idea. Mr. Thuy, can you? Yeah, okay.
So put it simply, my question is that um, you ask somebody to remember, to see about the cognitive, and you ask somebody to like English. Which one is more difficult? When we talk about the motivation, we mostly use the emotional verbs like, hate, dislike. We talk about the cognitive.
Okay, yeah.
We talk about remember, understand, apply, something like that. So which one is more difficult? Yeah.
I believe that in this case, you mean that, okay, to let the student to study and then let them like the language, which one is more difficult? Okay, so let's put it simple. I can say that it depends pretty much on the students. We learn about aptitude. If we cannot like 100% depend on aptitude, the student's ability, natural ability, like the IQ. If they have higher IQ, they can grasp things better than others. But something like if you like it, it's more about like emotion. It would be different to capture, and it change. You cannot really predict that. And so I think in this case, make the student to learn the language is kind of a challenge, because you can see that lots of people, they can do very well in the test, but they do not really fall in love with the subject. They learn it because they have to. And so, yeah, in this case, I would say study is easier, much easier than to love the language.
Why I asked that question? Because we are in the education 4.0, and the educationists, they tend to shift from how can I say, to the STEAM, STEAM, in which the student emotions is the key decision of their success. So motivation is really important. It's really important. It's because let's say these 5 C's key, so it's hard to have them. It's hard to achieve. So it's much more difficult than their cognitive aspect. Yes.
That's what I said. And if you read the book, The Myth of Motivation, you can Google it, The Myth of Motivation. You can see that the successful learner, for example, if they gain some kind of achievement, that would somehow create motivation. So it means that motivation is not something that appears in the beginning, but it's the result of some kind of achievement. So the cognitive first, and then it means that they can learn it first, and then, well, they will love it. Yeah.
So what do you think about the role of the teacher in enhancing their motivation in learning English?
Teacher's role?
Yeah.
I believe that, of course, they spend most of the time in the classroom with us. So it's but we can say that like 100%, it's all our responsibility to increase the motivation, because it has two parts, like internal and external. But then we do have some kind of activities in the classroom. For example, the tasks in the classroom must be like relevant. You need to understand the student and then have appropriate strategies. For example, like age factors, different age, we have different strategies. And also the students group, like we have study about student age differences. Like we might use different kind of visual, for example, using text, video, images to enhance the student interest. And also like virus activities like games, quiz, rather than just studying things in the course book. And also sometimes reward is also important because the student can see what they can, sometimes earn at the, like, they have some kind of achievement, and it will means they might receive some kind of rewards, and that will increase their like intrinsic motivation, and maybe luckily we can make them fall in love with the subject, English.
So you mean those classroom activities aim to enhance their intrinsic motivation, right?
Yeah, at first it would be in extrinsic first, and intrinsic is something I believe that they extrinsic may have effects on intrinsic motivation, but not 100%. We cannot ensure that.
Okay, yes. So which one is more important, intrinsic or extrinsic motivation?
We
Which
don't
one
say
plays a
something like which one is more important. Like we cannot say, well, teaching method, which one is the best. Like we will come in the end, we would come to something like post method. We use all of them together. Like we have to consider the possibility, the appropriateness of your context, and so. But we do see the difference. For example, extrinsic motivation, they are, like would be suitable for some situation. For example, young learner, they know nothing about, like intrinsic, it's more difficult for them to see the long term uh, effects of this. But intrinsic motivation, I have said they have like more like long term uh, effect than extrinsic motivation is like, yeah, at some point they will have, like, you give them sticker, they will like it at that moment, but the other day they will see, oh, sticker all the way, so they don't like it anymore, and then yeah. So but I would say that we don't say which one is more important. It's like they equally important, and they, support each other, and yeah, that's my answer.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your question. If you have any more question, please. Yeah. Mr. Yu, can you continue?
Yes, Miss Yim. Yeah, Miss Yim, I saw a question from Mr. Min. Right. So can you? Yeah, I think this one could be put into discussion between our classmates. Yeah, can you explain why? Yeah.
Yes, I think online learning, online teaching and learning is the major yes issue, yeah, in our situation, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, right? I see that some teachers, they are new with online teaching, and they have to adapt. They have to make them familiar with online teaching environment, and they also, I am new with online teaching, and I really want to hear from you about some challenges when motivate students in online teaching and learning. So I think it's good to give Mr. Man's question for the class discussion.
Yeah.
Okay.
So okay. So Mr. Min asked us that what are the potential challenges when motivating students online. So I think the answer for this student depend a lot on your own teaching and learning context. So I think I would like to invite some of our friends from our class. So yeah, I am really impressed by the sharing and the experience of Miss Thuy. So Miss Thuy, can you tell us some of the potential challenges when motivating your student online? Thank you.
Yes, I'm here. You hear me, right? Hello,
Yes,
you.
very clear. Thank you.
Yes, because all of us are kind of new to online teaching, because due to COVID-19, we have to stay at home and we have to be online teachers. Yes, even sometimes we are not ready to be online teachers. Okay, but in my classes, because I have classes from young learners to adult learners, so I think to younger learners, because in offline class they have to dance. Sometimes you have to dance, sometimes you have to sing, sometimes they have to run around because they have they are full of general energy. Yes, okay. But but in online classes, we have to give them some bonus, and maybe sometimes we have to say that we have to, let's see, in my classes sometimes they sing, sometimes I give them bonuses. But anyway, I don't think I can overcome the challenges because they feel like mostly I want to go to the toilet, mostly I'm hungry, mostly I'm tired. Yes, okay. So I'm not sure that I can overcome it well. Yes, but I'm here to listen to others. Maybe others, our friends, can have some solutions to overcome the challenges in online classes. Yes, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you for your sharing. So yeah, I think we can yeah, if we continue to discuss this one, yeah, we will have some more interesting ideas. But yeah, before we continue, I think Mr. Hill want to yeah, he's wonder whether the information given in our presentation can be public, or sorry, can be applied to which learning context. So sorry, Mr. Hill, but we just because the time constraints, so we just give some very general ideas that you can adapt, yeah, and adjust to your own learning, teaching and learning, or your own classroom context. So we cannot tell you whether it could be applied to public language center. Yeah, there are all theories. So Mr. Hill, yeah, because you asked this one, so can you tell me some challenges that you are facing at your own online teaching class?
Yeah, actually, and I'm not teaching online now, so that's just what what
Yeah,
comes in my mind.
Yeah, can you imagine if you are Dr. Nga, yeah, and you are teaching us? So what are the challenges you might face?
Yes, obviously that when you teach students in a public school and when you teach students in language center, it's really different because the kinds of student or the characteristic of student is totally different. Such as the size of the class, why they come to the class. Like in the public school, they're forced to come to the class, but when in a language center, they want to come to the class to study for some reason. So I think the motivation in different different. Or in higher education, that is about like us, like the students in the university. Some students in the university are forced or they want to study that. So I think different context, you got a different application, and
yeah.
the motivation for those kind of students is totally different.
Yes.
So yeah, and I think it's good when if you have time, it's good when you clarify more into the Vietnamese context.
Thank you for your
thank you.
recommendation.
That's all for my contribution.
Yeah, yeah. So we should have added some research on the Vietnamese context, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
So that's one of our drawback. Yeah, thank you for your feedback. Yeah, but yeah, referring to the context of the Vietnamese, I think there is some teachers of public school in our classroom now. So I would like to invite Miss Nguyễn Thị Thủy Tiên. Yeah, because you are teaching at secondary school. So yeah, actually, is it? As I remember of her sharing, is it a lower secondary school, right? So Miss Thủy Tiên, could you please tell us some challenges that you are facing at teaching online to your student, and can you tell me how did you overcome that? Yeah, we would love to hear about your experience. Thank you, Ms. Thủy Tiên.
Yeah, hello everyone. Yeah, I totally agree with what Hill has just shared to us. That the student of the public high school and student at English Center are like are very different. I mean intrinsic motivation, because they have the reason. to go to the English center, but in high school they may not have that. So they are forced to actually, right? We used to be all high school students, so we all understand that. So as a teacher at high school, actually I'm teaching at a secondary high school, both lower and higher. Right? Um, I think we have that kind of difficulties when the student really don't want to learn, and anyway we have to teach them, and they have to pass the exams. So one of the way we used here to create motivation for students is to use the bonus mark. Maybe some for the lower secondary, then we can use small gifts. They are really excited with that kind of sweets, candies, or cakes, little cakes, yeah. And for the upper secondary, they may not like that, but maybe something useful for their study, like pens or pencil, but just also small gifts. But also they need the bonus marks, like what we still need now, even at this level. So they may get bonus mark for their contribution to the lesson. And also, I think they need kind of praise from the teachers so that they may feel more confident in class. Yeah, so that is what we can do here.
Yeah, yeah, they are very valuable experience. So thank you so much. Yeah, we have the chat. Yeah, I believe that our classmates, they teach very different levels. So we have the sharing of Miss Thủy Tiên about the secondary level. Now maybe we will go to the young learners level. Yeah, because we have a lot of VUS teacher in our classroom here. So I would love to hear about one of the very good student from our classmates. Minh, and can you share us about some experience in motivation or the challenges you are facing when you are teaching young learners, or perhaps even maybe the learner at the kindergarten level? Yes, Ms. Minh, please.
Yeah, so currently I'm teaching some kids and teenagers, and I realized that actually they aren't really aware of what they are doing. They don't have a clear purposes, or I don't have a clear purpose of learning English. So actually, normally in class, I try to push them their extrinsic motivation more than the interesting one. So I ask you a question: is that normal if I just focus on the extrinsic and I cannot evoke their intrinsic? And which one is more important? Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, very clear.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so thank you for your sharing. Yeah, because I think we only have maybe 20 or 15 minutes for this one. So perhaps yeah, this discussion may end at 9 a.m., right? So now maybe we should answer the last question from Mr. Đỗ Thị Mỹ Linh. Yeah, actually, Ms. Minh Anh asked us about which type of motivation is more important. But as we have discussed with Mr. Thủy, yeah, we cannot tell which one is more important. Yeah, it depends a lot on the teachers, the learners, and maybe even the designers of the course. Yeah, so there are many factors that influence the motivation of learner that the teacher must be noticed about, and they try to enhance their learners. So Ms. Đỗ Thị Mỹ Linh asked us about do we always need to give them positive feedback? How about the one that is not positive? Right. So Ms. Linh Vũ, do you have any idea about this?